Hi, I'm Ashley McAlpine, and I am the Fraud Prevention Manager here at TMG. Today we're talking about risk culture and how that can be strengthened within your financial institution. I'm joined with Carol Quillen, our VP of Risk. And so Carol, thanks for joining us today. I'm really interested to get your perspective on why this is such an important matter for financial institutions and what they can be doing to strengthen their risk culture internally.
Sure. So every organization, especially credit unions, banks, have to deal with risk on a day-to-day basis. So when you're setting up a risk culture, you would want to set that up as you would any culture. You would want to make sure that it's demonstrated at the highest level and then followed throughout the organization. And so what this enables companies to do is to ensure that as employees are going throughout their day making decisions, that they're considering the risk of that decision, both good and bad.
One of the things that we saw at Summit was there was a large conversation with Brian Krebs about why risk is so important at organizations and that they really need to spotlight it by having a leadership role in place. Do you have any perspective on that?
That's a great question, Ashley. Obviously, you need somebody in a leadership role within the organization that can drive that risk culture, but really from the perspective of risk, it needs every person within the organization needs to understand that they are responsible for risk. So every decision that they make throughout their day, whether it's a decision to reduce risk, manage risk, or mitigate risk, every decision has an impact on the organization's risk standpoint.
So when you look at organizations that have had a really strong risk culture, what are some things that they've done to make that such a positive experience?
Great. So a lot of organizations that have a strong risk culture have a strong risk culture because of that leadership at the very top, and that is permeated throughout the organization. One thing to look at is, as with any culture that you try to create within your organization, risk culture is the same. So you want to look for it at hiring. So as you go through the hiring process, what are some questions that you can ask to really gather whether or not that candidate would be a good fit within the organization and would have a risk mindset. Also, you can think about it from a business process standpoint. Throughout the business process, there are various checks and balances that you have to have. From a social engineering perspective, test your employees, try to trip them up, try to figure out whether or not they're susceptible or vulnerable to being impacted by outside resources.
Are there any other tactics or methods that you've seen that have been great indicators of organizations that have that risk culture that's been so strong and working for them?
Yeah, so one of, I guess, the metrics that you can think about or look at within your organization are key metrics around incidents that have occurred. So whether or not you've had security incidents, whether or not you've had incidents occur that have taking you outside of your risk appetite statement. Really, in an organization that's successful in creating a risk culture, they have guardrails that everyone is aware of. And you try to make those guardrails as wide as possible so that people can operate and do business within those guardrails. If you make the guardrails too tight, then employees naturally are going to try to find a way around those in order to get work done.
Okay. Anything else that users should be aware of when looking to set up their risk culture? What are some additional things that they might just need to be aware of?
So basically, you want to make it easy for employees to comply with your risk management program. You want to select a risk management program that is simple and easy to follow. You want to make that risk program as conducive to your work environment as possible.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Carol, for your time today. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us at info@tmg.global.